Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Grant to Smidt, and it's Peter du Toit, SoccerBeat, talking Kaizer Chiefs. Guys, before we start, 30% of the viewers out there are watching the show subscribe. Please, 70% of you aren't subscribed. Please, guys, subscribe. We need to make this the biggest show in South Africa, the biggest soccer show in South Africa, SoccerBeat. So please, guys, subscribe. Also, press the like button. It means a lot. Right, Kaizer Chiefs in the news. They're signing players left, right, and center. They've got that checkbook out and the money's flowing out. Today, announced, Nkanyiso Shinga, signed from Portugal, Alverca, and then Flavio Silva, signed from Indonesia. Grant, are these the kind of signings we expect from Kaizer Chiefs? Personally, I was hoping for bigger names with proven track records. There's a risk to both these signings. But you're the coach out here, you're the analyst. Let's go with the left back first.
Well, the first thing I'll say is Chiefs have done well to find some unknown players because it shows that they're at least casting their net wide. They've got scouts watching these leagues, or they're using platforms like Scout to find these type of players. And if they can get someone through the door that maybe wasn't being chased by their two big rivals, that's a player they can get without competing as much, which is always a good thing. And there's a surprise factor as well. They could come in and be, blow the lights out. So we start with the left back. I mean, look, watching his highlights videos, I think we both watched it, and I think we'd say a lot of that activity is going forward. So he looks like he's a strong player joining the attack. Very left-footed. You don't see him really using his right foot at all. He can cross the ball. We've seen some free kicks as well from him, which is quite promising because Ethan Chislett, their other rumored but apparently confirmed signing, is a free kick specialist. So they could have very big threats with a left footer and a right footer along the edge of the box there if they can draw those free kicks. They've been linked with Paseko Marco. It seemed like it was done, yet not announced yet. If he's come to the door, then you have to say that maybe he's been given these two specialist left backs. He complained that he had none last year. He was playing Bradley Cross, De Klokwe, and these other guys, which, out of position as he saw it. He's now got two options to call upon, one a bit younger and less proven, and then if he has Marco, someone more proven at cap level. So it makes sense to get this profile of player. And I think, yes, it's an unknown factor. So if it's unknown, but for us, it could be as well for opposition teams that come up against him.
I think with Shinga, he's a powerful attacking left back, and that fits in with Nabi's style. So he covers that base. My concern with Shinga, and he's South African, so there's no work permit problem, and he'll fit in easily. My problem with Shinga, and I think where the question marks have got to come in, we don't see from highlight reels his defensive capabilities, and that's obviously a critical factor as well. But my biggest question is, how big a jump up is it from a cross, or a dove, or Mako? So, or is he just there as another member of a squad to make the team a little bit better? And my concerns are based on this. The Portuguese second tier is not as good as Kaizer Chiefs or our top 5, 6, 7, 8 clubs. So it's not that he's playing in a way bigger league. My other fear is they've let him go once they've got into the top league. So they don't seem as a player who's going to be a regular for them going forward. So here's a scenario where Chiefs have signed a player who is not a certainty to be better than what we really got. I hope they've done their homework, but he's not a racing certainty. He's not somebody you say, listen, this guy is definitely better than what we got. If I show you a highlights reel of Cross, you're going to be impressed. If I show you a highlights reel of Dub, you're going to be impressed. If I show you a highlights reel of Mako, you're going to be impressed. Highlights reels are exactly that. So my concern is he that bigger difference to what they've currently got? But if you look at profile, he fits the bill of an attacking fullback, and he fits in the Nabi kind of environment. And yes, he brings in free kicks, but we don't know what he's like defensively. And another concern is the team he's been playing for, they basically play in front of very, very small crowds. The kind of pressure there is not the same kind of pressure that he'll have at Kaizer Chiefs. And I have a question mark. I would have possibly preferred them to sign Mashego. I think there you knew what you're going to get. You're getting a Bafana player, a player who knows the game. He would definitely have brought in a great attacking option, and defensively good enough as well. And if you look at the money that they're paying in a transfer fee, plus the salary, I think they could have got Mashego for free, by the way. That's the talk I was hearing from agents and at Sundowns and so on and so forth. But obviously, Chiefs looked at the business and they thought this was a better deal. But do you agree that it would have been Mashego's, and if they could have got that deal over the line, it could have been a better option?
Myself and Tsepo Masilela spoke about that. And Mashego's had such inactivity at Sundowns that he needs a move where he's going to be an undisputed number one. And with Michael competing with him, maybe they feel these are two players who would really want to play week in, week out. And I think if you bring in someone like Shinga, he's going to need some time to bed into the league. By the time he probably beds into the PSL, Marco's going to be about 32 years old. It probably makes sense then to have that succession planning. Whereas with Mashego and Marco, it's difficult to have one playing, one on the bench. They both had long-term injuries in the past and they want to be involved now at this stage of their career. But I think also you highlighted some, I wouldn't say necessarily red flags, but some question marks over Shinga. He hasn't played much in the Portuguese top flight. Yes, his team got promoted last year, actually a team owned by Vinicius Jr. And I think 70% of that club is owned by Vinicius Jr. But now that they've got promoted, they might feel that, we don't actually think he's ready to make that step up. They actually have a Brazilian on their books, a left back on their books already who's highly rated. So they probably feel he would have been covered in the top flight. And they're willing to let him go for just 220,000 euros or so, based on the reported fee of 4.5 million rand. So there's a few question marks there for sure. But maybe there's a bigger upside and they feel he can grow into the role behind a Marco, and Marco maybe gets used in the CAF Champions League, CAF Confederations Cup a bit more, and Shinga gets a chance to settle in.
Time will tell. We'll see that very, very quickly. We hope for Chiefs fans that he obviously does very, very well, but they certainly must have done their homework. Flavio Silva, this is an interesting one, Grant. He's 29 years old, plays nationally for Guinea-Bissau. He has played for Portugal as a youth, 9 goals in 33 games in Indonesia, 1.84 meters. Again, looking at his highlights reel, he looks the part, but I must always emphasize it's a highlights reel. One positive, the team he's playing for in Indonesia is a massive team, and they play in front of big crowds, and there is pressure there. So it's the Kaizer Chiefs equivalent. But there's no ways that the Indonesian league is as good as the South African league. So my question is, again, a 29-year-old who's, I would call him a journeyman player. If you look at his history, he's never really had one season of a very good average goal scoring average versus games. And my concern here is that this could be a hit and miss kind of scenario. And he could go the Nurkovic way and do fantastically well because it's a prize package and he's very good in the air, or he could go the Gonzalez way, where Gonzalez should have been a better fit coming from South America, which was a complete flop. Where do you see this one going? Flavio Silva going the Nurkovic way, because he's good in the air, he looks good on the ground, looks better than Nurkovic on the ground. Nurkovic had no real track record before Chiefs signed him. I would have said that's going to be a fail, but I was proved wrong. But Gonzalez looked like a player who could play in South Africa and flopped. Silva looks like he's got better feet and maybe even better in the air. Where do you see this one going? Nurkovic way or Gonzalez way?
Yeah, look, again, he's an unknown quantity. And I think for forward, there's a lot of upside to that because PSL teams are not going to know him well. That's exactly what happened with Nurkovic. He was such a physical forward, throwing his head on everything, that it took the league at least 6 months to kind of figure out how to play against him. And he initially blew the lights out, and then his form tailed off slightly as sort of Chiefs' title challenge ended up collapsing on the final day. So that's the ideal situation. He comes in, teams don't know him, and he uses his power in the air and also on the ground because he looks like he's quite a dribbly striker. He likes, pulling off to the side and running down the side of centre-backs, taking them on. But when you watch highlight reels, you look at the type of goals. I always look at the type of sort of spaces the defenders are leaving. And there's a lot of high lines that he can run in behind. There's a lot of teams with their fullbacks high up the pitch, and he's sort of on the counter attack down the side. Chiefs don't really get that very often. You have to be able to play in tight spaces, and he looks more like a player that needs those big areas to excel. Having said that, at least he's good in the air. I've seen him score goals from corners on his highlights reel and a few other crosses. And of course, maybe he works well with Shinga. Shinga actually getting forward, whipping in deliveries for Flavio Silva to head in with a more of a narrow left winger, possibly. Maybe someone like Serena or Morty coming inside the pitch. And then you've got a more physical forward to use as well. I'm keen to see as well how they try and fit Silva and Ighodaro, but I think we get an idea that, Naby likes a physical striker. He didn't really want to use a Duba or a Dupree up front. I think he was hoping that Chivavera would step up because that's his profile forward. So it looks like Chiefs have profiled well in terms of who they've signed and he suits the style. Whether it's been really the question of whether he can translate the quality to the PSL.
Do you think that Chiefs are a good enough team at crossing the ball to be able to take advantage of a striker who is good in the air? Under Middendorp, Chiefs were good at that. They had wide players who could deliver, and they had Lebo, who was outstanding at picking a front man out. Do Chiefs have the players that can deliver the crosses? If you look at the right-hand side, you've got Lelepo or Vilakazi, and left-hand side, you've got Modi or Sereno. The fullbacks are not the best at whipping those crosses in.
Yeah, I think it's probably an area that Chiefs are lacking in. I think with the signing of Monyane, if he does come through the door at right back, you've got him and Frostler. They're great at delivering the ball. Monyane is a really good crosser, and Frostler is one of the best at when he's playing well, he can cross the ball with both feet, actually. So from the right side, they probably do have that delivery. The left side, you're going to have to hope that Shinga comes through because they don't have someone who can deliver the balls into the area from that side. They've got a lot of right-footed left wingers, sometimes Lelepo or Modi, or Gaston Sereno coming inside. He's also often too narrow to cross the ball from those positions. So maybe the service is going to be lacking from one side, and they're going to have to focus on getting Silva sort of onto the far side fullback, and then the cross to come from the right-hand side from Frostler and Monyane for him to attack. That's probably how they're going to have to do it. Marco's not a very good crosser. He's more of an underlapper, and he's become more of a defensive left back as time's gone on because he's often comes into the team for the big games and he sits there. He's very steady and he doesn't necessarily leave his position. So when Shinga plays, yes, they'll have some more delivery, and on the right side they'll be okay, but more from the fullbacks than the wingers, I think.
The big question, Grant, that I would ask Chiefs in getting Silva is the following. Is he a striker who can get them 12 to 15 goals a season?
Right.
And if you look at strikers who get 12 to 15 goals a season, they get it no matter what league they're playing, because they've got the ability to score goals in any environment. And obviously it's harder as you get higher up. He's not playing in a league that's going to be much better defensively than the PSL. And he's playing in a team that's a team like Kaizer Chiefs, the team that kind of gets a lot of the ball. I don't see in his entire career, other than one season where he delivered more than, a kind of goal every second game. It was more of a goal every 3 games. That's my biggest concern with Chiefs fans. Chiefs fans need a striker that you can put in the goals scored column between 12 and 15 goals a season.
Look, I think it's similar to Chivavera. He's basically Chiefs have signed a player that's had one big season in their career only. He's not consistently scored, as you say. Often you get strikers who are journeymen. They score goals in all sorts of leagues. They make careers out of that. They're kind of guns for hire. They'll score in a smaller league. They'll get pulled for a slightly bigger team, score goal, maybe go to a slightly bigger team. They have an off season. They drop down a level and smash 20 goals at that level. And he hasn't really done that. And the PSL's got some physically strong defenders and decent speed in some of the centre-backs as well. So there's mismatches that he's maybe enjoyed in the Portuguese second tier and Indonesia and those type of leagues. Luxembourg and so forth. Exactly. So he's got a physical mismatch, and that maybe is equalized a bit in the playing in our league. So he's going to have to have a bit more about him than just trying to be a physical bully. So it's going to be a tough one for him to see how he adjusts. Maybe he initially comes off the bench. He has a bit more space to play in when Chiefs are leading, and he kind of adjusts that way. But there's AR question marks, and he's 29. So it's literally bring him in and he needs to deliver from day one. This is not a player to take a year to settle in. He needs to try and do it, basically plug and play.
100%. So guys out there, let us know in the comment section, is Flavio Silva a gun for hire that he'll get you your 12 to 15 goals? Or is he a guy that's going to be there to sort of create space for others to get the goals? And that's not the guy you're looking for, in my opinion and Grant's opinion. The left back looks a much better option. Let's wait and see. But I think there are more signings going to be announced today. So Grant, myself and Seppo, get him on the next show as well. I'm pretty certain we're going to announce 1 or 2 more today. Grant, thanks. Keep on standby. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Peter.